Well, we did it, guys. We fished every pier at Bill Baggs. It was an interesting experience, to say the least. I feel like I learned a lot about the park and about myself. I'm just kidding. About fishing. I know I mentioned in the beginning of the series, but it was never my intention to compare these piers. I was actually being completely unscientific on purpose. The thing is that although it does sound like a good idea to compare the piers and give an idea of which one is better for fishing, there's just no way for me to control enough of the variables to give each of the piers a fair chance. And even if I did get the same bait and spend the same amount of time at each pier, there are just too many other factors to consider, like the weather and the tides, and it wouldn't have made much sense for me to make baseless assumptions or conclusions. But anyway, I had a great time completing this challenge. I met amazing people, I shared some great moments with my friends, and I caught a personal best mutton snapper, which is actually one of the rarest fish on the Bill Baggs drop table. So it was pretty exciting to catch that. I did want to kind of recap each pier briefly and talk about my experience at each one, starting with this week's Pier 8. Last week, a park ranger gave me a rod that he found in the garbage. The reel was shot, but the rod was in good condition, so this week I found a $9 reel at Walmart, and I slapped it on there. So I am glad to introduce this as the second rod I've ever owned. And although it was a slow day of fishing, I was able to connect with the small mangrove snapper to break in the new rod. And it comes to show that recycling is more than just separating your garbage, you know. It could also be about repurposing, reusing, or reimagining the things that you would normally throw away. I was glad to break this rod in at Pier 8. It's one of the most iconic fishing piers at this park. It's the closest to the lighthouse and is easily accessible from the parking lot. I went during spring break. Probably, in hindsight, probably was a bad idea since it is one of the busiest piers. There was a lot of foot traffic, music, family gatherings. So if that's the vibe you're going for, go ahead, bring the churrasco and some friends and hang out by Pier 8. And if you want to catch fish, Pier 8 is not a bad option either. It's deep. It's at the southernmost tip of the key, closest to the Biscayne Canal, so not a bad place for fishing. Personally, I didn't have great luck today at Pier 8. The seagrass was a real issue, but I have caught some really nice fish here. Just make sure you get there early because it's one of the piers that fills up the quickest. Pier 7 was one of those piers that was hard to assess. On one hand, I spent the entire day reeling up seagrass, but on the other hand, the only fish that I did catch was one of the nicest fish I've ever caught, and it's also not too far from the parking lot, so it's another good option if you have family with you. Pier 6 was actually a pretty productive fishing pier. Not too active, but the two fish that I caught were decent sized jacks, and so there's definitely some swimmers around Pier 6. This is where it starts to become a bit of a trek from the lot, so bring your cart and walking shoes if you're gonna hit Pier 6. Pier 5 was quantity over quality. We managed to get a bunch of snapper right under the pier, but the bigger fish seemed to stay away from us. This pier is actually noticeably smaller than the rest, so really good if you're going with 2 to 3 people who really love to walk. This pier is easily a 10 to 15 minute walk to the lot, so consider that if you're lugging your gear around. Pier 4 was super productive, not only for me and Danny, but for Alex, Jesse, and Nick who were fishing with us. This is the pier where Alex caught that massive puffer fish, so make sure to check out that video to see that monster. And at this point, the piers, they start to get closer to the marina parking lot, so it is about a 10-minute walk to the pier from the marina lot. Pier 3 is the one that I had to do out of order because I wasn't there on time. I only caught one small mangrove at Pier 3, but me and Suwat agreed it was just a really slow day of fishing because between the two of us, we didn't have much luck. And at this point, also, the pier started to become shallower as you approach the marina entrance. If Pier 3 was a bad day, then Pier 2 was the opposite. It seemed like the fish were really active at Pier 2. It probably had to do a lot more with the conditions. But anyway, it's a nice pier. It's large, so if you want to take your family, this is also a great option, as it's not too far from the marina lot. Finally, the first pier I hit on this challenge, which was Pier 1, and well, it kind of sucked for fishing. It was the only pier that I got skunked at on the challenge. You could actually see that it's about a foot deep, and it's right by the entrance to the marina, so the combination of the boat traffic, it's just not ideal for fishing. But if I were hanging out, this is definitely the pier that I'd go to because it's got a really nice patio area. There's a grill right by the lot. You can watch the boats go in and out, and it's actually a really nice pier to hang out in, but the fishing was pretty abysmal. So that's it, guys. Bill Baggs is in the books. I think if someone were to ask me how I feel about this park, I could honestly say that I love it. I learned during this challenge that a lot of people don't like this park, especially for fishing. And I understand that, to be honest. I can see how coming out here and fishing seaweed out of the ocean all day is just unappealing. But if you have time and you're patient, there are definitely fish to be caught out here. Don't expect to come on any given day and catch fish. It's not like that. It's a spot for those looking to put in the hours and to catch that one elusive fish. And on some days, we were able to hook up to dozens of fish, so it's not like there aren't any fish around. But life is not all about fishing. It's about a lot more, and like such, this park has a lot more to offer than fishing. It has a beach, a historic lighthouse, restaurants, a marina, a nature trail, and most importantly, the most diverse group of people you will ever meet. Much like this city, this park brings together people from around the world, and it was a pleasure to get to meet all the people that I met and learn from them and hear their stories. I hope to continue to meet more people in the future and catching fish along the way. I love you all, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see y'all next time.